4차 산업혁명 15주 1차 강의를 시작하겠습니다. 오늘의 강의는 스페셜 토픽으로 AI 발전 스토리에 대해서 이야기하도록 하겠습니다.
Smart fellow, as I have a very fine brain.
That's the most remarkable thing I've ever seen.
AI is just a computer that is able to mimic or simulate human thought or human behavior. Within that, there's a subset called machine learning that it's now the underpinning of what is most exciting about AI.
By allowing computers to learn how to solve problems on their own, machine learning has made a series of breakthroughs that once seemed nearly impossible. It's the reason computers can understand your voice, spot a friend's face in a photo, and steer a car. And it's the reason people are actively talking about the arrival of human-like AI, and whether that would be a good thing or a horrific end-of-days thing.
어떤 사람들은 제프리 힌턴을 AI의 갓파더 혹은 딥러닝의 갓파더라고 부릅니다. 제프리 힌턴은 캐나다의 인지심리학자이자 컴퓨터 과학자이며 인공신경망에 대한 연구로 유명합니다. 2013년부터는 구글 브레인과 유니버시티 오브 토론토에서 시간을 나누어가며 근무했습니다. 힌턴은 1986년에 출판된 논문에서 다층 신경망 훈련을 위한 역전파 알고리즘을 대중화했습니다. 2012년에는 이미지넷 챌린지에서 그의 제자와 함께 알렉스넷을 발표해서 컴퓨터 비전 분야에 혁명을 일으켰습니다.
Many people made this moment possible, but one figure towers above the rest. I've come to the University of Toronto to see the man they call the godfather of modern artificial intelligence, Geoff Hinton. Because of a back condition, Geoff Hinton hasn't been able to sit down for more than 12 years.
I hate standing. I'd much rather sit down, but if I sit down, I have a disc that comes out. So,
Okay. Well, at least now standing desks are fashionable. And
yeah, but I was ahead. I was standing when they weren't fashionable.
Since he can't sit in a car or on a bus, Hinton walks everywhere.
힌튼은 척추에 문제가 있어서 지난 12년 동안 앉아서 일을 할 수가 없었습니다. 항상 서서 일을 했는데 그럼에도 불구하고 이런 대단한 연구를 했다는 것에 경외감을 느낍니다. 그런데 더 큰 어려움은 수십 년 동안 그의 연구를 대부분의 사람들이 인정해 주지 않았다는 데 있습니다. 그가 어떤 과정을 거쳐서 딥러닝의 획기적 발견을 하게 됐는지 스토리를 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Google thinks this is the future of the company. Amazon thinks it's the future of the company. Apple thinks it's the future of the company. My own department thinks this stuff's probably nonsense and we shouldn't be doing any more of it. So I talked everybody into it except my own department.
Geoff Hinton, pretty early on, became obsessed with this idea of figuring out how the mind works. He started off getting into physiology, the anatomy of how the brain worked. Then he got into psychology. And then finally, he settled on more of a computer science approach to modeling the brain and got into artificial intelligence.
My feeling is, if you want to understand a really complicated device, like a brain, you should build one. I mean, you could look at cars and you could think you could understand cars. When you try and build a car, you suddenly discover that there's this stuff that has to go under the hood, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah. As Geoff was starting to think about these ideas, he got inspired by some AI researchers across the pond. Specifically this guy, Frank Rosenblatt.
Rosenblatt, in the late 1950s, developed what he called a perceptron, and it was a neural network, a computing system that would mimic the brain.
The basic idea is a collection of small units called neurons. These are little computing units, but they're actually modeled on the way that the human brain does its computation. They take incoming data like we do from our senses, and they actually learn, so the neural net can learn to make decisions over time.
Rosenblatt's hope was that you could feed a neural network a bunch of data, like pictures of men and women, and it would eventually learn how to tell them apart, just like humans do. There was just one problem. It didn't work very well.
Rosenblatt, his neural network was a single layer of neurons, and it was limited in what it could do, extremely limited. And a colleague of his wrote a book in the late 60s that showed these limitations. And it kind of put the whole area of research into a deep freeze for a good 10 years. No one wanted to work in this area. They were sure it would never work.
Well, almost no one.
It was just obvious to me that it was the right way to go. The brain's a big neural network, and so it has to be that stuff like this can work because it works in our brains. There's just never any doubt about that.
Now, what do you think it was inside of you that kept you wanting to pursue this when everyone else was giving up, just that you thought it was the right direction to go?
Know that everyone else was wrong.
Okay.
Hinton decides he's got an idea of how these neural nets might work, and he's going to pursue it no matter what. For a little while, he's bouncing around research institutions in the US. He kind of gets fed up that most of them are funded by the Defense Department, and he starts looking for somewhere else he can go.
I didn't want to take Defense Department money. I sort of didn't like the idea that this stuff was going to be used for purposes that I didn't think were good.
He suddenly hears that Canada might be interested in funding artificial intelligence.
And that was very attractive, that I could go off to this civilized town and just get on with it. So I came to the University of Toronto. And then in the mid-'80s, we discovered how to make more complicated neural nets so they could solve those problems that the simple ones couldn't solve.
He and his collaborators developed a multi-layered neural network, a deep neural network. And this started to work in a lot of ways. Using a neural network, a guy named Dean Pomerleau built a self-driving car in the late 80s, and it drove on public roads. Jan LeCun in the 90s built a system that could recognize handwritten digits, and this ended up being used commercially. But again, they hit a ceiling.
It didn't work quite well enough because we didn't have enough data, we didn't have enough compute power. And people in AI and computer science decided neural networks was wishful thinking, basically. So it was a big disappointment.
Through the 90s, into the 2000s, Jeff was one of only a handful of people on the planet who were still pursuing this technology. He would show up at academic conferences and be banished to the back rooms. He was treated as really like a pariah.
Was there like a time when you thought this just wasn't going to work and you did have some self-doubt?
I mean, there were many times when I thought, I'm not going to make this work.
But Jeff was consumed by this and couldn't stop. He just kept pursuing the idea that computers could learn until about 2006, when the world catches up to Hinton's ideas.
Computers were now a lot faster. And now it's behaving like I thought it would behave in the mid-'80s. It's solving everything.
The arrival of super-fast chips and the massive amounts of data produced on the internet gave Hinton's algorithms a magical boost. Suddenly, computers could identify what was in an image. Then, they could recognize speech and translate from one language to another. By 2012, words like neural nets and machine learning were popping up on the front page of the New York Times.
You have to go all these years, and then all of a sudden, you know, in this span of a few months, it just takes off. Did it finally feel like, aha, you know, the world has finally come to my vision?
It was sort of a relief that people finally came to their senses.
Next up, we have Professor Geoffrey Hinton of the University of Toronto.
Thank you.
For Hinton, this is obviously a really redemptive moment. Now he's basically a technology celebrity. And for Canada, it's the country's moment as well. They have more AI researchers than just about any other place on the planet, and the quest now is to see what these guys can do, starting companies and pushing the technology forward. I'm gonna set out on a journey across Canada to see the best in Canadian AI technology and to get a feel for how far the technology has come and how far it still has to go.
AI를 활용한 구글의 트랜슬레이트 앱은 지역마다 언어마다 서비스 정도가 다릅니다. 생활 속에서 트랜슬레이트 앱이 어떻게 활용되는지 보도록 하겠습니다.
To see just how successful they've been, look no further than your pocket.
All this stuff started out as hardcore computer science, but over the last 5 years, AI has invaded our everyday lives. Your smartphone is packed full of AI-powered apps, including something like Google Translate that lets you point your phone at a magazine that's written in French and read it as if you were a local.
Engineers have been trying to get computers to translate text like this for decades, but it was Jeff's neural nets that finally made it possible. Thanks, Jeff.
AI에 기반한 자율주행 자동차는 나라마다 지역마다 법과 제도가 다릅니다. 몬트리올 지역에서 자율주행 자동차를 타보도록 하겠습니다.
And it's not just your smartphone. Neural networks are heading for the open road.
Off we go.
Meet my friend Stefan, the head of Montreal's Tesla fan club.
I'm driving a Tesla for a little bit more than 4 years and a half.
Do you have people asking you for rides all the time?
Yes, all the time. Still without.
Maybe that's because of his fancy pants autopilot, Tesla's semi-autonomous driving system that kicks in when road conditions are right.
So that's it. Autopilot's on.
Yes, and it's driving by itself. So we need to pay attention, but we don't have to drive.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Self-driving cars are packed full of cameras, sensors, and radar. When teamed with computer vision neural nets, it's this technology that lets the cars build a picture of the world. The technology has a long way to go, but this Tesla can monitor all the cars around it, switch lanes, and park, all by itself. Thanks, Jeff.
So you were living in the future.
Yeah, you know, when you try it once, it's very difficult to do without it because I just can be relaxed and we can drive like this. Oops. There is a stop sign. So that's why we still need to pay attention.
다음은 AI의 음성인식을 통해서 식당을 안내받고 텍스트 인식을 통해서 메뉴를 번역하는 것을 보도록 하겠습니다.
This time in the form of speech recognition.
Find me some poutine, eh?
I found a few places within 8.4 kilometers.
Speech recognition used to suck, but now it's pretty darn good. Why? A neural net, of course. Thanks, Jeff. The Google brain sent me here for an artery-hardening affair with poutine. Once a simple Quebec dish of cheese curds, french fries, and gravy, it's been disrupted.
The Dan, pepperoni, bacon, and onions. Here we go.
요시와 벤지오는 힌턴 및 러큰과 함께 1990년대와 2000년대에 딥러닝의 발전을 책임진 세 사람 중 하나입니다. 어떤 사람들은 이 세 사람 모두를 AI의 godfather, 딥러닝의 godfather라고 부릅니다. 그는 몬트리올 대학의 컴퓨터 사이언스 교수이며 학습 알고리즘 연구소의 책임자입니다. 벤지오를 만나서 그가 생각하는 인공지능의 현재와 미래에 대해서 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
A big part of Hinton's legacy lies beyond these examples of AI in the world. He's also inspired a legion of disciples spreading the good word of neural nets. Yoshua Bengio is a professor at the University of Montreal. He's one of the researchers who glommed onto Hinton's ideas when it seemed to make little sense to do so. Over the years, he's formed a mind meld with Hinton, and together, they've come up with many of the key concepts behind modern AI.
You guys worked on this stuff through the 80s, 90s, the 2000s, and then it just seemed like this totally went from computer science and research to we see it everywhere in our lives. Are are even you surprised what's happened the last 5 years that it really is like sitting on all our phones? And
the rate at which the progress and the industrial products have been coming out is totally something we didn't expect. Even now, it's hard to predict. Where are we going? Is it going to slow down? Or are we going to continue with this exponential increase?
벤지오 교수는 AI의 빠른 발전과 프로덕트들에 대해서 예측하지 못한 것이었다고 고백합니다. 심지어 우리가 지금 어디로 가고 있는지 예측하기 어렵다고 합니다. 현재 일어나고 있는 AI의 기하급수적인 성장 속도도 느려질지 아니면 계속될지에 대해서도 알 수 없다고 합니다. 한편 몬트리올 지역에는 AI를 공부하고자 하는 수많은 학생들이 몰려들어오고 있습니다. 구글과 페이스북 등 세계적인 기업들은 이러한 인재들을 채용하기 위해서 AI 랩을 열었습니다. 데이터를 활용하는 전문 기업들은 AI 전문가를 크게 필요로 하기 때문에 졸업생들은 일반인이 상상하기 어려운 상당한 대우를 받고 있습니다.
It's thanks to Yoshua that Montreal is full of top-notch AI graduate talent. This in turn has brought tech giants like Google and Facebook to town, along with their ample checkbooks.
to me, it seems like if you're good at AI, you can make $200,000–300,000 a year. It's crazy to see how much these guys get paid now.
$1 million is something quite common as a salary.
Have you ever had a country offer you an incredible amount of money to come set up a lab there?
Not a country, but yeah, companies, yeah.
But Yoshua has rejected the lucrative offers of big neural net. He remains committed to the ivory towers of academia, which is a better fit for his philosophical approach to AI.
일론 머스크와 스티브 호킹은 AI의 위험에 대해서 경고를 했는데 벤지오의 견해로는 AI가 스마트해지면 인간을 이해할 것이고 인간을 해하는 행동은 하지 않을 것이라고 주장합니다.
You've got guys like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking that sometimes paint this technology in a very, very dark light, that it could run amok and start doing things on its own. What do you feel when you hear people say things like that?
I'm not concerned about technology running amok. The Terminator scenario, I think, is not very credible. And I also believe that if we're able to build machines that are as smart as us, they're also smart enough to understand our values and to understand our moral system and so act in a way that's good for us. Now, I think there are real concerns, which is essentially misuse of AI to influence people's minds. It's already happening with political advertising.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen like the stuff from Facebook.
So I think we should be careful about this and try to regulate the use of AI in places where it's morally wrong, ethically wrong. I think we should just ban it and make it, illegal.
It's comforting that Yoshua has these concerns.
어펜딕스에서는 AI가 사람의 목소리를 흉내내는 것을 보도록 하겠습니다. AI의 훈련된 목소리로 어머니에게 전화를 걸었을 때 어떤 일이 벌어지는지 보도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 시청하신 것으로 이번 차수의 수업이 인정됩니다.
This tiny room is the home to a startup called Lyrebird. It was founded by Yoshua's former students and has built an app that can clone your voice.
Are you speaking about this new algorithm to copy voices? This is huge. It can make us say anything now, really anything.
One of its founders is this guy, Mexican expat Jose. He taught me the art of the clone.
So you'll need to record yourself for a few minutes of audio.
Thousands of letters danced across the amateur author's screen. When you start to eat like this, something is the matter. You guys better quit politics and take in washing. I don't know where that one came from. Okay, so create my digital voice now. Creating your digital voice takes at least 1 minute. 1 minute? My God.
Yeah, so before, to create some artificial voice of someone, you would need to record yourself for at least 8 hours.
Test your voice. All right, so now I get to type something.
Yeah, so the moment of the truth.
Okay.
Once Lyrebird's AI has worked its magic, after I'm done typing,
Oh, gotta spell better.
any words I put into the app can be played back in my digital voice. And here's the crazy thing. Even words I never actually said in the first place. Artificial intelligence technology seems to be advancing very quickly. Should we be afraid?
I mean, I can definitely hear my voice in there. That's really interesting. I just picked those words at random, and I definitely did not say some of them, and it's like flawless in being able to sort of pick from just about any word and manufacture it.
Hello World is the best show I have ever seen. This technology seems sweet, but lends itself to all manner of trickery. I've popped back to my hotel to test out the Lyrebird technology a little bit, and you can see some really obvious ways that this could be abused. This is fake Donald Trump talking.
The United States is considering, in addition to other options, stopping all trade with any country doing business with North Korea.
And then you could picture somebody taking over your voice and creating some mayhem in your personal life. Now, to really put my computer voice to the test, I am going to call my dear, sweet mother and see if she recognizes me.
Hey, Mom.
Hi.
What are you guys up to today?
Well, it's Saturday. We didn't have any electricity early this morning, and we're just hanging around the house.
I'm just finishing up work and waiting for the boys to get home.
Okay.
I think I'm coming down with a virus.
Oh, why, you feel bad, hey?
I was messing around with you. You were talking to a computer.
I felt like I was talking to you. It's amazing.
Is that scary or good?
It could be scary if it was something really important. It's you now, isn't it, Ash?
I don't know.
It sounds like you.
Is it?
Yes, it sounds like it, yeah.
They and a few other Lyrebirds to chat more about the evils of AI while dulling my fear with booze. Obviously, some people are freaked out by this technology because we're already like blurring the line about truth and reality.
Of course, there is some risk in people using this kind of technology for bad applications. Unfortunately, technology it's not possible to stop it. So the ethical path that we have decided is to show this to people, to make them know that this kind of technology is available, and so to make them more cautious on this kind of subject.
We really believe that right now, when the technology is not perfect, is the right time to let people kind of play with it, get used to it slowly.
So you guys think that the idea is just sort of new and that's why it scares people, but if you get used to it, that's just the way it is?
We want our technology to be used for positive things. It's not something that we should be really afraid of. It's something that we should be careful about, but I feel enthusiastic about.
It's nice to be enthusiastic. It's also nice to meditate on the consequences of your inventions, instead of turning our souls over to chance and blind luck. But it is kind of cool to be a cynical bastard in my new artisanal computer voice.
Welcome, Russian friends, to our huge, wonderful, and very pure elections.